The steel bent like taffy in his scarred hands. Bruce Lee's kick froze mid-arc. The gymnasium crowd turned. December cold leaked through the Long Beach sports facility doors, but the air inside suddenly felt thicker, heavier. Eugene Patterson stood 6 feet 5 inches tall. His frame dwarfed the spectators beside him. The bent horseshoe he gripped, once a functional piece of iron, now formed a twisted U in his calloused fingers. Scars crisscrossed his knuckles like old battle maps. Bruce lowered his foot to the concrete floor. 135 pounds of controlled precision. Eugene weighed 330. Functional strength, Eugene said, voice rumbling across the demonstration area. He tossed the horseshoe. It clattered against the floor with a metallic ring that echoed off gymnasium walls. That's what stops a real threat. The crowd shifted. Whispers died. Bruce's expression remained calm. His breathing never changed rhythm. Different definitions of practical. Eugene stepped forward. His boots struck concrete with deliberate weight. Each step closed the distance between philosophy and raw power, between technique and mass. "Show me," Eugene said. Few in that room could have predicted what would unfold next, or how completely it would redefine both men's understanding of human capability. Eugene rolled his shoulders, the horseshoe still warm in his palm. His voice carried across the gymnasium like gravel under truck tires. "Last month, I pulled a semi 18 feet. He dropped the bent steel. 3 weeks ago in Sacramento, I lifted 5 Atlas stones, each weighing 280 pounds. Bruce remained motionless. The only response was his breath, steady and measured. Eugene stepped forward. His boots left faint impressions on the rubber mats. The smell of chalk dust and dried sweat hung between them. These hands, he raised scarred knuckles, bent 17 steel bars in Detroit. Broke a grip dynamometer in Chicago. His laugh rumbled low. "You weigh what, 135? Bruce's expression didn't shift. Eugene spread his arms wide, showcasing the breadth of his frame. Veins traced rivers down forearms thick as fence posts. 330 pounds of trained muscle. I've had ribs fractured, fingers dislocated, torn every major muscle group." He tapped his chest. "Pain is." Background noise. He leaned closer. The height difference forced Bruce to tilt his chin upward slightly. "So tell me, Mr. Lay," Eugene's grin widened, "how exactly does a kick from someone your size stop someone like me?" Bruce's eyes held his without blinking. Bruce's expression didn't change. His voice came low, measured, almost conversational. Different definitions of practical. Eugene's jaw tightened. The gymnasium smelled of rubber mats and old sweat. Around them the crowd shifted closer, forming a tighter circle. Someone coughed. Another whispered something in Cantonese. Eugene took a step forward. His boots struck the concrete floor with dull, heavy thuds. Each footfall echoed in the sudden quiet. He closed the distance until only 3 feet separated them. Bruce remained where he stood, hands relaxed at his sides, weight balanced. "You think I don't know practical?" Eugene's voice dropped. "I've lifted men bigger than you overhead, carried refrigerators up 5 flights of stairs. My body's been tested every way that matters." Bruce tilted his head slightly. "Pain tolerance is impressive." Eugene exhaled through his nose, finally acknowledgement, "but it doesn't protect the nervous system." The words hung in the air. Eugene blinked. Around them the crowd murmured, confusion rippling through spectators who'd come to watch breaking boards and flying kicks, not lectures on anatomy. Eugene's scarred hands flexed. "What's that supposed to mean?" Bruce's gaze didn't waver. "Your muscles respond to pain signals. You've trained them to ignore those signals. That's discipline." He paused. "But there are systems in your body that don't ask permission. They simply react." Eugene felt heat crawl up his neck. "Big words, prove it," Eugene said. Eugene's chest expanded with every breath. Scars webbed across his knuckles like topographic maps charting years of iron and stone. He rolled his shoulders, the movement slow and deliberate, a bear settling into its stance. The crowd could feel the weight of him. 330 pounds of muscle earned through competitions where men collapsed under Atlas stones and chains that tore skin from palms. He'd endured torn ligaments in Oslo, dislocated ribs in Munich, kept lifting. Hit me. Eugene's voice cut through the gymnasium. Anywhere you want. Bruce's expression didn't change. I'm not here to hurt you. The refusal landed harder than any strike. Eugene blinked. The crowd murmured, confused. Few could understand why a martial artist would back down from such an invitation. Bruce stepped closer, the concrete floor silent beneath his light footsteps. Lift me, he said. Like an Atlas stone, Eugene's scarred hands flexed. The challenge hung between them. But something in Bruce's calm suggested this wasn't about strength at all. The test had rules Eugene didn't yet know, and the gymnasium air suddenly felt thinner, as though the oxygen had been replaced with something unspoken and dangerous. The crowd pressed closer, forming a tight circle on the gymnasium floor. Sneakers squeaked against polished concrete. Someone coughed. The sound echoed. Eugene rolled his shoulders back. Thick trapezius muscles bunched beneath his shirt. Veins surfaced along his forearms like cables under tension. He flexed his hands once, twice. The scarred knuckles cracked. His breathing deepened, chest expanding with each inhale, the practiced rhythm of a man preparing to hoist 500 pounds. Bruce stood motionless, his arms hung loose at his sides, no defensive stance, no bracing, just controlled breathing, slow and even as if waiting for a bus. The size difference was absurd. Eugene's shadow swallowed Bruce entirely. Eugene bent at the knees, boots scraping concrete. He leaned forward. His massive arms encircled Bruce's torso, thick biceps wrapping around ribs. The smell of chalk dust and sweat mingled between them. Eugene's grip tightened, firm but not crushing, professional, the kind of hold used for Atlas stones, not violence. Bruce's chin remained level. His eyes tracked something on Eugene's neck. The crowd's murmur died. No one moved. No one breathed, and then Bruce's right hand lifted, slowly, deliberately, his thumb angled toward Eugene's throat. Eugene's arms locked around Bruce's ribcage. The hold was perfect, competition grade. He'd lifted Atlas stones heavier than this, granite spheres that fought back with dead weight and unforgiving surfaces. Bruce felt different, lighter somehow. Almost cooperative, the gymnasium air tasted metallic. Anticipation. Eugene bent his knees, engaging his hamstrings. Power coiled through his legs, years of technique compressed into muscle memory. He prepared to drive upward, to demonstrate that 330 pounds of trained strength answered to no philosophy but its own. But Bruce wasn't resisting. No struggle, no tension. Eugene felt the smaller man's breathing pattern shift, slow, deliberate cycles that seemed to measure time itself. Bruce's weight distributed evenly across Eugene's forearms, not fighting the grip, accepting it. The crowd's murmurs died. Silence pressed against Eugene's eardrums. Few had witnessed such stillness before violence. The absence of sound amplified everything else. The rough texture of Bruce's cotton shirt against Eugene's forearms, the faint smell of gymnasium leather and sweat, the almost imperceptible warmth radiating from Bruce's torso. Eugene's eyes tracked upward. Bruce's gaze hadn't moved, still locked on Eugene's neck, that unwavering focus. The lift began, Eugene's muscles engaged. Bruce rose smoothly. Then something touched Eugene's throat, and his entire cardiovascular system recognized a threat his mind hadn't yet processed. Eugene drove upward. Bruce's weight left the floor. 330 pounds of competition-tested muscle powered through the lift. Bruce rose smoothly, no resistance, body positioned like an Atlas stone. Eugene's legs straightened. His back held perfect form. Easy, too easy. Bruce's thumb found the side of his neck, pressure precise, immediate. Eugene's vision fractured, the gymnasium lights blurred into halos. His pulse hammered against Bruce's thumb. No, it wasn't hammering, it was the floor tilted. His blood pressure spiked. He felt it surge through arteries like water through burst pipes. Dizziness crashed over him in waves. The weight in his arms became impossible to calculate. Was Bruce heavier, lighter? Eugene couldn't. He set Bruce down, stumbled backward, his boots scraped concrete. The crowd's collective gasp reached him through cotton-thick air. Eugene's hand flew to his neck, fingers searching for damage. No pain, nothing broken, but his heartbeat roared in his ears, wild and arrhythmic, betraying him. Bruce stood exactly where Eugene had released him, breathing unchanged. Expression neutral, Eugene blinked hard, the gymnasium sharpened back into focus. Sweat traced cold lines down his spine. What the hell had just happened to his body? Eugene dropped onto the concrete floor, cold surface pressed against his thighs through sweat-soaked fabric. His palms stayed glued to his neck, fingers searching for injury that didn't exist. No bruise, no blood, no torn tissue. Just his pulse hammering wrong. It wasn't pain, he said. Bruce crouched beside him, knees bent, weight balanced. No, pain would have been useless against you. The gymnasium air tasted metallic. Eugene's breath came short, uneven. Then what? Carotid sinus. Bruce's finger tapped his own neck, precise. Baroreceptors, they regulate blood pressure. I triggered them. Eugene blinked. His scarred hands had bent steel, lifted stones heavier than men. Endured injuries that hospitalized others. But this, your 330 pounds didn't matter, Bruce continued. Your pain tolerance didn't matter. I bypassed muscle entirely. Attacked cardiovascular regulation instead. The words landed like atlas stones on Eugene's chest. Imagine training your entire life for one kind of battle, only to discover the war operates on completely different rules. Few strongmen could grasp what Eugene felt in that moment, the ground shifting beneath certainties built from iron and sweat. How many other systems? Eugene's voice cracked. How many other ways am I? Vulnerable, Bruce stood, extending his hand, but something flickered in his expression. Something that suggested the demonstration had only scratched the surface of human fragility. 3 years rebuilt what one thumb pressure destroyed. Eugene's calloused hands learned new textures. Not just cold steel and rough rope anymore, but the precise angles of wrist locks, the soft hollows above collarbones where pulse betrayed vulnerability. His training yard smelled different now. Chalk dust mixed with sweat, atlas stones sharing space with wooden striking posts. He lifted at dawn. He practiced pressure points at dusk. The strongman circuit noticed. At a 1972 qualifier in Portland, Eugene hoisted a 400-pound anvil overhead. The crowd roared. Steel shrieked as he bent a 2-inch bar into a horseshoe. Standard fare. But then he stepped back, exhaled slowly, and moved through a kata Bruce had taught him. Slow, deliberate, his massive frame suddenly fluid. A reporter cornered him afterward, microphone thrust forward. Why mix martial arts with strength competitions? Eugene wiped chalk from his palms. Strongman training builds task-specific power. Bruce Lee taught me. Taught me strength has dimensions most men never explore. Where is Bruce Lee now? Eugene's smile faded. The question hung unanswered because 3,000 miles away, Bruce had collapsed on a Hong Kong film set. The steel bar shrieked as Eugene bent it. Cold iron groaned under scarred palms, folding like paper at 330 pounds of force. The crowd roared. He dropped the twisted metal. It clanged against concrete. Then he stepped back and moved. A punch snapped through air. A kick rotated smoothly, ball of his foot striking an invisible target. His massive frame flowed through martial arts forms, precise, controlled, utterly incongruous with the bent steel at his feet. The announcer's voice crackled over the microphone. Patterson, what exactly are we watching here?" Eugene straightened, chest heaving. Sweat gleamed on his forehead under harsh arena lights. "Strongman training builds task-specific power," he said, loud enough for the front rows to hear. "You learn to lift stones, pull trucks, bend bars," but he paused, hand touching his neck where a scar had faded. "Martial arts teaches situational awareness, teaches you the body's weak points, where 3 pounds of pressure changes everything," reporters scribbled frantically. Bruce Lee showed me that, Eugene continued, voice rougher now. Strength has dimensions most competitors never explore. Few could grasp what he meant, but cameras captured his words and newspapers would carry them across the country. In dojos and gymnasiums, instructors would quote the strongman who credited a 135-pound martial artist. The legacy spread, not through monuments, but through understanding.